Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Shonda Vega, a sponsor relations account executive here at Nationwide. I'm going to be your host for the next hour of today's live broadcast. It is brought to you by Women in Ag. This is a great group at Nationwide, everyone. We're connecting people who care about ag and also celebrating the women who are making a difference in the industry. So my role at Nationwide is to manage our partnership with Ohio Farm Bureau. So today, it's a joy and honor to spotlight an incredible partnership with the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation and an inspiring story of Winchester Farm Exchange. So let's jump in. I'm going to introduce our guests. We have Kelly Burns. She is the executive director of the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation. And we have the co-founders of the Winchester Farm Exchange. We have Trish Preston and Chelsea Casagrande, which I told her I love her last name. It's so fun to say. Thank you all for being here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to turn it over to you three to tell everyone a little bit more about yourselves.
Well, again, Kelly Burns from the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation. So I've worked at Ohio Farm Bureau for the last 5 years or so, really helping to inspire that next generation of young people to consider careers in agriculture. So our foundation and our board is dedicated to youth pathways and finding ways to get more people into these careers to have a bigger impact on the future of Ohio agriculture well into the future and beyond.
Awesome. I'm Trish Preston, and I'm a small farmer in Canal, Winchester. I work at the Ohio State University in fundraising. I have 3 daughters, and we raise sheep, chickens. We have an apiary and have bees and honey, and 4-H advisor. What other hats do I wear? A lot of them.
That is a lot of hats.
Yeah.
And OHIO. We
course.
probably have a lot of our friends from Des Moines, Iowa, who are Iowa fans.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we just
go
like
Bucks.
to remind them that we're coming to them from Columbus, Ohio.
Hello, yeah, for sure.
And I'm Chelsea Casagrande, and I am a small business owner, an entrepreneur, I guess we can say. And I have a family, 2 boys and a husband. I'm based out of Canal, Winchester as well, and have grown up in Columbus my whole life, and I'm just excited to be here.
Well, thank you all for making the short drive north to downtown today. Well, I'm going to start with you, Kelly. I want to talk about the foundation. And obviously, we know that Nationwide has a very long-standing partnership with Ohio Farm Bureau. Can you talk a little bit about how that partnership has evolved through the last century, since it's been almost 100 years now, and then what that means for ag in Ohio?
Absolutely. So Ohio Farm Bureau was founded back in 1919. So a group of farmers came together to address issues, also some rural Ohioans, to address issues that they were facing. And one of those issues was the high premiums they were paying for car insurance. And so in 1926 came a mutual auto insurance company, which is now known as Nationwide. So long-standing partnership. We consider Nationwide to be our heritage partner in all that we do. And they have supported a lot of Ohio Farm Bureau's work over the years, helping to provide a lot of our members business solutions, supporting a lot of our programs that we have. And so back in the early 80s, the foundation was founded really primarily to provide scholarships for students who are pursuing degrees in agriculture. Fast forward now to 2025, and we really, like I mentioned earlier, focus on youth pathways and really attracting that next generation of farmers, helping, of course, to grow our membership into the future. But we are really excited to have such growth over the years and have such a great partner at the helm of everything through Nationwide and through our longstanding history.
You guys do such a good job helping with ag literacy and helping people know where their food comes from, but also getting people in those careers, as we know that there's a lots of butts and seats to fill in that pathway.
Right.
So great. I want to talk a little bit about the foundation and the Growing Tomorrow grant. I know it's still a pretty new program for you guys. So can you talk about what inspired that initiative?
Sure. So the foundation really focuses on 3 main areas. One is scholarships, still tried and true from our very beginning. Also innovative programming. We like to support different initiatives that Ohio Farm Bureau does to help attract and support young people through their ag journey. But then we also provide grants. And so a few years back, Mike and Patty Boyert from Medina County, Mike is a past Ohio Farm Bureau Federation trustee. He's also a past foundation board member. came to us and said, we want to pay it forward. We want to give back, and we want to help support this next generation of entrepreneurs, folks that want to get involved in agriculture and have careers. And so Mike tells a wonderful story about when they were starting their greenhouse, Boyert's greenhouse, back in the 80s, when it was not a great time to get into agriculture. Going to a loan officer, asking for a startup loan, and being denied that support. And what that did, it was a pivotal moment in his life where he said, all right, I'm going to do this regardless. He had that grit, he had that drive. And so they really want to support folks like them who are starting out in their careers and exploring agriculture. And so we founded and started this Growing Tomorrow grant, which we're very excited for. It's gained a lot of traction over the last year. Last year was our first year. We're excited to be in our second year. But again, Mike and Patty's passion for this, not only their financial support, but also their drive to rally others to come to the table and help, has really been inspirational. And so even the Nationwide Foundation today, a big thank you to them, are supporting this program because it really can impact our state and the communities in which folks live, as you'll see and we'll hear from Winchester Farm Exchange and the work that they're doing.
Right. And if you know the Boyerts, it's to love the Boyerts. They are truly one of a kind.
They are.
So if you are
They
ever
are.
in Medina County, check out the Boyert Greenhouse. It's also a great shopping opportunity up there.
It's great.
So thanks for sharing more on how that came to fruition. So you said you have awarded these you've been through the first cycle. So what are the criteria that the foundation looks for when awarding this grant? And then how did the Winchester Farm Exchange stand out?
So the Growing Tomorrow grant is really focused on awarding grants to new or early stage agricultural businesses, right? Businesses that have a strong plan, sustainability in place. And we look at 4 different areas. We want to really, support programs that are giving back to their communities and are rooted in their communities and helping them. So one of those areas is creating sustainable employment opportunities. That's a big one, bringing more opportunities to their community to help with that. As you mentioned, Shonda, earlier, ag literacy. That's a huge part of our foundation and what we do. And so really trying to build more awareness within communities about where your food comes from and the hands that are behind it that make that. We also focus with this grant on environmental stewardship. So are there new techniques that you are putting into practice that others can model after? And then also, of course, combating food insecurity. We realize a lot of these small rural towns continue to deteriorate in different ways. How can we bring fresh food to folks and grow it in a way that's more sustainable for the future? So we are really looking at organizations or businesses that model at least one of these key areas, if not more. And for Winchester Farm Exchange, what was truly inspirational about their story was not only Trish and Chelsea's passion for what they do. It's very similar to the Boyerts and that dedication, but really having their business rooted in their community and what you all have done in terms of educating the public. One of the great things that they do, which I think is a wonderful, wonderful part of their business plan, is having a farmer on duty. So anytime someone comes in to buy the fresh produce or the baked goods or whatnot, they can help educate on where that came from, how to cook it, what that food looks like. And so it really does help folks understand really the impact that farmers in Ohio can have on our everyday lives. And so that was a big standout for Winchester, was just how they hit on multiple different pillars that we're looking at.
And I'm sure many local consumers may have never even met or talked to a farmer before,
Right.
let alone, directly educated. So that's great. And, you hit on food security, sustainability, ag literacy, so many things that are very near and dear to Nationwide's heart too. So
Right.
I'm so glad that our foundation is standing behind you guys as well.
Yes.
Well, we are going to talk to Trish and Chelsea in just a moment. But before that, we are going to flip to a video about the Winchester Farm Exchange and how the Growing Tomorrow grant help bring their vision to life.
Welcome to the Winchester Farm Exchange. proud member of Franklin County Farm Bureau. I'm Chelsea Casagrande Smith.
One of the co-owners, and I'm the other pillar. I'm Trish Preston, and I'm a Fairfield County Farm Bureau member. Yeah, so the Winchester Farm Exchange is just a community gathering space. It's a local farm-to-table grocery store located here in downtown Winchester. Has a retail arm which serves our community. It's our bakers, makers, produce, meat providers, etc. that all come in here to the space to sell their goods.
Our intention behind opening the Winchester Farm Exchange is to create a space for the community to not only meet and gather and see their neighbors, but also a place to provide fresh local food source where they can get direct from farmers to their table.
By having the ability to access foods that are fresh picked the day before possibly, and then loaded here, available for sale, that they can go home with the freshest, most nutrient-dense type of produce and products that will actually really nourish their families.
So right now in the space, we have about 50 farmers. They vary from meat products, dairy, baked goods, gluten-free baked goods as well, jams, produce. They're all from the Ohio area.
Yeah, that core group that we started with, we're actually just a bunch of Farm Bureau member friends. So they're all folks that I met through Farm Bureau, and that's really the core group that started all of this. We always have a farmer on duty who is one of our farmers that is volunteering to be here to have those conversations with our customers so that folks can build that relationship with that farmer. Without that connection, they're just looking at things that might be on the internet, and they really don't have truth behind where their food comes from. So they come in here with questions or preconceived notions, and by having a conversation with our farmers, they can actually ask those questions that are really important and learn more about the truths about what is happening, how their food's produced. And it's been great to actually watch those connections build. That very first day, we had 10 years worth of ideas of all the ways that we wanted to impact our community and all the things that we wanted to do. And our method of doing business is to do it debt-free and to do it in a smart way that we can actually accomplish these goals, that we're smart about the way that we do it. And so this grant actually will allow us to kind of fast-track some of those ideas so that we can put some things into place to continue to serve our community, and we can do that today. Chelsea and I are incredibly grateful to the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation, especially to the Boyards, to Mike and Patty, for their vision to think about even offering a grant like this to support us in that way is just amazing. So we're incredibly grateful for their vision and just the entire Farm Bureau community that has just supported us as members as we grew this business.
Great video. Did that just say "in butter we trust"?
It did.
I love that. Big fan of butter over here. So I think I need that for my keychain. So again, thank you guys for being here and taking time out. As you heard in your introduction, you both are very, very busy people. So we appreciate your time. I will say I got to visit the exchange for the first time a few weeks ago. Kelly and I went down with another colleague of mine, Trisha. We went to have lunch and then we did some shopping. And a few of my favorite products, they were very unique, actually. It was a unique find. I found spreadable chorizo, which I've not found since I ate it in Spain, in Madrid's. And it really tasted took me back to vacation in Spain. It was an incredible find. I also bought cheese, hummus, coffee, seasoning, flowers, which were gorgeous, and hummus. Did I say that already? And then 2 types of frozen meat. One in which I defrosted yesterday to make beef vegetable soup. I think it was County Line Farm is where it was from, and it was outstanding. So I can attest to, like you said in the video, you guys bring unique products to the market. So I found that firsthand. Everything has been super great. I can't wait to go back. But expand on that a little bit. What do you guys think makes your products and your store different?
I think what makes our store different, one, it's just that opportunity to have those relationships with the people who are growing your food. So it's interesting, you were talking about the farmer on duty and just people coming in and having questions. This is a little bit funny, but we had someone come in who said, hey, these brown eggs, they went to wash them and they're some of the pigment came off, and they're I think the farmer is painting these eggs brown to sell white eggs as brown eggs. It was an opportunity to have a conversation that no way do we have time to paint eggs, and also how a chicken lays the color pigment on an egg, and to have those conversations. So he had no idea. It's great. It's that opportunity to have those conversations. Plus, the thing that Chelsea and I really look for is, I have to say, we don't really look for somebody who is already selling their products like at Giant Eagle or in a large grocery store. We're looking for somebody who is also kind of launching their business so that we can give them that opportunity to grow. We're in a place where we have a large volume of traffic and business, and so we can really help somebody, who's a fledgling business really launch and get started. So that's been very fun, and to kind of watch some of these, especially like the home bakers, create some different products, but also the farmers collaborate together to create new products because they've met and then have conversations. Our jam guy provides something to our baker so she can make this like apple braid bread. And so they've looked for opportunities to connect as well to create new products. So I think all of that is just, it's the relationships with the community. It's the products that are in there. It's the collaboration. It's the, innovation of just all of them being together and the synergy of kind of, as a farmer, you're often by yourself. It's very isolating sometimes. And so being together in this group, in this community, and we have group meetings that have this opportunity to like have all of us stand behind them to help them bring their products to market.
It's vast. I know the video, showed inside the store, but there's a lot of nooks and crannies. Kelly kept, no, keep coming back here. And I was like, oh, there's more. It's very vast. How many vendor producer partners do you have now?
We have almost 70 now. So
my
from the time the
goodness.
video was made, which I think was in the fall time around pumpkins, because there are pumpkins in the video. Yeah. So now we have almost 70, and we have 3 more conversations happening this week.
Oh
so
my goodness.
we're very excited.
Yeah, it's very vast. You can find anything and everything, that you want. Of course, also including, we ate lunch there. So can you talk about maybe vendor partners or how that came to fruition?
Sure. Yeah, so we originally pitched the idea to our incredible building owners about potentially putting in a kitchen in what was formerly a drive-through for a bank, which is obviously a very unique idea, but thankfully our building owners have been on board for any of the crazy ideas that we've lobbed to them. And we had a couple of business owners, Sprig and Brie, as well as Coastal Local Seafood, who they're located in the North Market, but they live in Canal, Winchester. One of the brothers who owns it does. And they're looking for more interesting, I think, opportunities to do it on a smaller scale. So for Sprig and Brie, it's her first cafe, and for Coastal Local, it's an extension and kind of like a different type of flagship for them that they can try new ideas at. So that's been a really neat partnership to have.
It was great having that cafe experience and then be able to shop afterwards. So great addition.
Thank you.
You mentioned your building and it being a little unique as well. So you guys have a historic bank building in downtown Canal, Winchester.
Yes.
So talk about how you chose that location, and I'm assuming there's some renovation that had to happen.
Sure. So this building has been on the historical, I guess you could say, registry for, it's like protected by Canal Winchester. Originally was a bank. Actually, it was the first bank of Canal Winchester in the 1800s, as well as a grocery store called the Exchange. So in the mid 1800s, that's what was there. And then a newer bank came along and added a facade and things that they do. And the building owners, like I mentioned, really loved the history of Canal Winchester and wanted to restore it. So they took it back to the original bones of what it is. So the flooring that you're walking on when you come in there is the original floors. You actually can see a split down the middle of where it was the Exchange grocery side and the bank. So you have a nice historic vault in there where you can see birth certificates from like the 1920s and times that they've come in and checked the bank. So a lot of really neat history rooted inside the building itself, which is very important to, I think, the ethos of Winchester Farm Exchange.
And to keep part of the namesake.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
That was actually one of the building owners' ideas. He sent us a picture from then, which you can see around the store as well. And so you'll see it called the Exchange on the.
Seems like another really important collaboration that's come your way.
It certainly is.
So this was something I didn't know till we sat down today, is how new you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this had been years in the making. Obviously, I knew, through our partnership that you had been awarded this, but it seems, again, so vast and that it's so successful. I just thought it had been in the making and around for years now, and that's not the case. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys came together and really how long you've been in business?
It's a pretty fast track trajectory of building this business. So I, at my farm, had a small farm stand. We would sell, to our neighbors, sell eggs and meat and things like that, actually starting off of our front porch. And then during the pandemic, I think like a lot of people, it went crazy and we're like, okay, my husband's like, there's cars lined up on our driveway, let's fix this. So we put in an actual shed, put in refrigerators and freezers in there, collaborated with some other friends and had meat and cheese and milk and all of our products. And it was just very popular during the pandemic. Chelsea would shop there. She kind of knew of, all of the things that I was doing. She was across the street. Her business is an event business across the street, and was watching the renovations on the bank happening. And she reached out and called me. This was actually in she called me first in January of 24. And so we met in February of 24, which was that picture that was shown in the video. I said, we should take a picture today because we'll want to remember this day.
And I thought she was crazy.
We're talking like 16 months ago.
Correct.
Yes.
So we sat out there for 3 hours, and she was like, I have this idea. And I was like, I think you're crazy. I don't understand how that would work, but I'm the farmer and she's the entrepreneur. I came in and told my husband, I was like, I guess we're opening a grocery store. And he was like, what?
And we're signing a 10-year lease.
That's
Strap in.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
"Here
long-term
it's happening."
commitment.
And so we went from February of 24 to opening day was August of 24. And we're less than a year into it. And we kind of keep looking at the numbers and also really at what we've been able to do, especially thanks to the grant that we received. We're kind of where we thought we would be at year 5, and we're not even like finished with year 1
amazing.
yet. So it's been crazy. The community has really responded well, not just Canal Winchester, but like Central Ohio, because we have people who shop on the regular from 45 minutes away who are coming in because they appreciate having the full access there. Yeah.
Well, and you just mentioned how much the grant helped, the Growing Tomorrow grant, and how generous the Boyerts have been. Can you guys talk a little bit about how, what did that mean to you when you were applying for it, and then when you found out you got it, and how you've been able to put it to use?
Pretty sure I cried when Kelly called me. I was very excited. It meant that because we had so many other farmers that wanted to come in to sell their product, and we didn't have enough coolers. So we only had, I think we started with like 3.
3 freezers and like 2.5 refrigerators.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how many we have now, but there's a lot. And so we were able to use that grant to actually purchase more coolers, which meant we could expand and bring more farmers into the spot, which has just been amazing.
Additionally, any money that wasn't put towards the refrigerators or coolers, we were able to do phase 2 ideas, which we thought we would not be having until probably around 2026 is what we were thinking. So that includes the walk-up window, which will be out of the kitchen. You'll be able to walk up and get your cafe orders, but you'll also be able to pick up online orders, which will give access to the groceries all day long. So instead of it being just during our open hours, online ordering should be launching here in July, and then you'll be able to pick up your groceries the next day.
So it's utilizing that drive-through window from the bank. So we're turning it into a walk-up window. Yeah.
And online ordering, I mean, we know that's key, right? And people want things at their fingertips. So tell me about what that process has been like, getting all these products online, a little more e-commerce.
Oh my.
Who's had their hands in that? Okay, Chelsea.
I'm like, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure.
I'm sure it was a big learning curve. At least it would be for me.
It certainly has. We have a really good POS partner, which is point of sale for anyone who doesn't know what that is, but that has been very helpful and instrumental in that. We have, I think what amazed me the most the day before we opened was the quantity of products that we had. Originally, I was like, you don't need to barcode. We'll handle it. It's okay. Like, we'll just deal with it.
She was
and
like,
then I found out 900 SKUs or like items later that I didn't realize that we were going to have them, which I'm glad, but I also was like, wow. So now shifting over into the online ordering platform is inputting those all into our point of sale system, but then creating the e-commerce access directly through our website. So it's been a little tricky, but thankfully our point of sale has done a lot of work behind that to help us get that set up and accessible to the public.
We laugh because those early days, the like opening day, we said it's like Hobby Lobby. We're like flipping through this binder to like find products to like plug things in. People were waiting in line for an hour. They were lined up like 2 blocks outside to get into the building.
Which we're excited about, but I was also very stressed on the first day.
So
Big
barcodes
lesson in
have been a
change
big deal.
management and adapting quickly.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
Small business ownership, right?
that's wonderful. And so next month, people can
Yes.
go online. So tell us a little bit about how people can find you. Obviously, you have the footprint in downtown Canal Winchester, but online, where can people check you out?
We're at WinchesterFarmExchange.com is our website. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Chelsea is like our
and
marketing.
TikTok now.
Oh, TikTok.
That's new as of this week.
Oh, listen, I don't even know. She's like our marketing guru, and she like creates all our cute little reels and videos and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Winchester Farm Exchange. Just all it is. That's the handle everywhere.
So I just want to remind our viewers, please enter questions at Slido. We're going to get to those in maybe about 10 minutes. I know you guys probably have some great questions for all three of these ladies, so we'll check those out in a few minutes. I want to talk about the relationships. Obviously, you have 70 vendor partners. How do you kind of mentioned you bring people together for meetings. How do you stay connected? First of all, how did they find you or even know that this was an outlet? How did you go to market with these producers? And then how do you keep 70 relationships strong enough that they want to keep putting their product in your store?
Do the first one.
Yeah. I mean, to start with, we did talk about, we had a lot of relationships through Farm Bureau. So I was on the board with Fairfield County Farm Bureau. And so just knowing friends through Farm Bureau, we kind of had met different people around in the area. And so we kind of started, I honestly, when I reached out to a lot of them, I was like, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. The first one, actually, I will say Sarah Eisen, who is with Flourish and Roam. She's one of our meat providers. She and her husband and kids were at our house. And I was like, I think it was the day after Chelsea and I had talked about it. And I was like, so we're opening a grocery store. I was like, how would you like to sell your meat there? She lives in Cincinnati, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And she was like, I'm all in. I was like, really? That's amazing. So it was super exciting. But I will say, when we first reached out, people were like, I don't know. We would bring them over to the building and tour. And they were definitely skeptical. Like, is this going to work? What's the payout going to be like? You know, how is this going to work? No one expected it to kind of hit the ground running and be as successful as it's been so quickly, which has been nice.
I mean, to be fair, the shelving was not put in until a week before because it was just such a expedited process, but we were trying to beat or try to get in line with harvest. So it's like that was the only option, or it would have been a whole year of waiting. So to be in their defense, when they're walking in and it's an empty store still and it's about 7 days out from opening, I'm like, just hang on.
Trust
it's
us.
going to be
Trust
here.
the process.
Yes.
Well, and the other thing too is our model is to run like a true farmers market, and so they all pay a flat fee to be there. So we kind of thought about, okay, we're open now 7 days a week. If you were to have a table at a farm market, what would you pay for that table each day? And so you pay a flat fee to be in that space. That too, people were like, I don't know if I want to do that because there's a cost to that. However, they realized that most of them are making that fee back within the first like 2 to 3 days of the month. And the rest of the month they're profiting. And so when really they look at it, we've had farmers who it's been life-changing for them. We've had folks who have never purchased life insurance or health insurance for their families ever and have been able to purchase health insurance. Other people who said, like, this is the make or break year for their farm, who have said this has put them over the top. Others who were like receiving assistance and things like that, and they're like no longer receiving that and actually doing really well. So when we take a look at the numbers, we're like blown away, but folks are doing fantastic. I think it's a little overwhelming for them because, you know, as a farmer, everybody basically is working a full-time job and farming. And so to produce these products and get them in, I don't think they realize that they drop off products. And then Lauren, our manager, will call them like 3 days later, or for the bread, it could be like 4 hours later. And she's like, your shelves are sold out. And so trying to keep up with that demand has been a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah, and speaking specifically to one of our bakers, better late than never, her impact has been awesome. She was able to quit her job and start baking full time, which was one of her personal goals that she talked to us about when she first was coming on. And she also was able to scale her home bakery, and she now bought this like amazing Dutch oven that she's baking out of. So now she's able to bake to scale, where she's providing us with, I mean, hundreds of loaves, which is wild to me.
Out of her home kitchen. Yeah.
But to answer your question about navigating the relationships, obviously, having 70 relationships with people has its challenges, as well as being in a startup business has its challenges. And I would say it's more on our end that we are the challenge versus them. So it's us navigating hurdles of small business ownership and them being patient and coming alongside us and championing the brand as well. I think that's really important to mention because we do our best to have consistent one-on-one questions. Lauren, our market manager, has really been able to come in and mitigate any questions that come along throughout the week that we're not able to get to right away. So that's been a huge benefit to us. But I think what matters the most in regards to the relationships is knowing that our core of what we're doing is we want to see them thrive and succeed. And I think that they know that. I believe that they trust that in us. And that is our main goal, is that they thrive first. And that will always be the truth. Like we've talked since the beginning, if we ever lose sight of that, then we're off track. So our ethos is to be farmer forward. and maker forward or small business ownership forward. So that way they can thrive. And the goal would be that they get to a point where maybe they're 10 years with us and then they are able to open their own space and they move on to the next thing. While we would be sad to see them go, the goal is always that. So I think that us being able to hopefully hold on to that as best we can and keep that at the forefront of our mind as like the true north is the goal we have.
What a great mission. And I didn't realize that economic impact. Those are really impactful stories. I want to touch on, I see we're getting a few questions, but you were talking about the egg story and how, as a consumer coming in and people just not maybe understanding the products that they're buying, where they're coming from, how they're, grown. Do you guys have any other stories that come to mind of aha moments from consumers or people that have come in that have maybe not tried something before or not understood what the product was that has been fun to see?
I always tell people, I never want to throw any form of agriculture under the bus. So they come in and folks who have watched too many, I will say this kindly, Netflix documentaries that demonize agriculture, and they come in and have some very strong opinions, but we're able to kind of have some of those conversations to talk about different processes. And I think one of the conversations too that we've heard is, when you slow grow your food and the way that we're doing it and the way that the farmers are doing it, it is more expensive. And people have talked about that price point. And we've been able to have the conversation, there's no shame in food. So whether you buy your food with us at the Winchester Farm Exchange, if your budget allows you to buy food from the grocery store, those are still farm families that you're supporting. And so I think people have been surprised to hear us say that, we don't want to food shame anyone. And that we're lucky that you've got choices and that we want to respect all types of agriculture, even though we're in what I would say it's pretty exclusive. It's a high-end type of product. Chelsea's really good at sharing with people about start where you can. So if it's making one change in the way that you purchase food, where are some of those good starting points that you think will build better health for your family? But
I think part of that is part of the education has been for me as well. So I do not come from an agricultural background, so it's been a learning curve for me in terms of adapting and understanding things. Something as simple as I was like, "Can we get shredded cheese?" And she's like, "No, that's not a process that's easy to whatever." Things that I just did not know that I did not know. But I think the type of content we've been pushing out in education are really lessons that I've been learning myself. So ultimately, being more planful in my grocery list, for instance, and being like, oh, this is actually no different cost price point than if I were to go to a larger chain grocery store, and making that education accessible to those who are online. So your meal can be $4.38 per person, and you can get 22 meals a week for the exact same amount if you're just more planful, has been a nice education for myself, as well as I hope the consumer as well.
So before we go to Slido, you guys have accomplished so much in such a little time. I know you're going to be doing the online, in July. You have the walk-up window coming. Is there anything else on the horizon of what's next and what you guys would like to see?
Yeah, so besides the retail arm, we have a nonprofit that we started at the same time called the Fishes and Loaves Food Alliance. And we have just partnered with our school district to get a 1-acre plot to do a school garden there. Our goal would be to eventually put an outdoor classroom space there with a kitchen so that we could do meals with families. But that nonprofit arm of what we're doing, we hope to do a large fundraising goal so that we can provide families in our school district who are food insecure with gift cards for the cafes. So encouraging them, instead of running your kids through McDonald's, come get a healthier meal through these cafes with gift cards, and also providing them with just grocery gift cards so that they can shop in the exchange. And then the garden can provide them with fresh produce. So we're hoping to kind of put that together. We have a registered dietitian starting with us who's actually baking gluten-free breads. Our market manager, Lauren, has a background in nutrition and education and things like that. And so we have a garden coordinator. So just building a team of people to kind of also rally around and support our community. And I think that's another what's next on the horizon. That'll be a slow burn, but happening here within the next few months up to the next year.
Very community centric.
Yes.
And then talk about the summer. Any events going on or anything anyone should be aware of?
Yeah.
Can I just say an exhausting list of Chelsea's our marketing guru. So yes, there's lots of events.
All the events.
Yeah, so we have Street Eats Fridays, which is kind of a family-focused activity base that happens in the back parking lot that we have. So our lot is a part of our lease. So we try to utilize that as much as possible. So that's going to include maybe a food truck or two, as well as activities for kids to do, all for free. They can come and enjoy that on the weekends. And then we have makers markets, which happen, like the Canal Winchester Makers Market happens there 6 Sundays a year, and also some movie nights coming up as well, which will be kind of partnered with some of the farmers that are inside to create snack boxes instead. So you can buy a ticket to the movie and then a healthy snack box, bring your own chair, and watch an old school movie outside.
Super fun. And when I was there, did I see something about wine tastings?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We have wine tastings and beer tastings. Wolfridge comes in pretty often, Mirabelle Wine.
Wolfridge. Okay, sure, yeah.
As well as Cote Winery out of Mount Gilead. So we have some fun stuff coming down the pipe.
Fabulous. All right, we do have some questions. So David Hernandez, he says, every venture involves a balance of risk and reward. What fears did you face and how did you push forward despite them? We'd love to hear your thoughts on what it means to do it scared. Great question, David. Thank you.
Question. Oh, gosh.
When Chelsea first came to me, we met in the farm stand and we had this conversation and she told me what the rent was going to be. I would say that was the only moment that I probably was like, there is no way that's happening. Where would we come up with that kind of money? And she's like, I have a plan. And I trusted her. And from there, we have said all the way through, we haven't really had any obstacles. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it's because we think this is sort of like something that's ordained, that's a mission, very mission focused for our community, but we haven't really had any obstacles. There hasn't been a lot of fear. We've just really trusted, what comes next. And it's worked. Other than the fact that you might talk about the point of sale system again, like putting all the items into the point of sale the night before we opened was very fearful.
It's scary in its own way.
Yeah, I would say that part of small business ownership, which I think farmers can be lumped into small business ownership, there's always going to be a risk. There's a risk in having a corporate America job where you're at a company, which happened to me in 2020, and I got laid off and thought I was secure and totally safe to go and had a fresh baby. And so while I thought I was more secure having a traditional role in a 9-to-5 job, I learned quickly that I was not. And so for me, what means risk versus reward is I feel more secure feeling like I'm in control of my next steps versus potentially awaiting a layoff or a pandemic or Lord knows whatever else. So for me, the risk, I can count on myself. And now I have business partners like Trish where I can count on them, where we're going to be adaptable. And I think that anyone who's looking at what is potentially a risk versus reward, I'd rather take the risk and find out the hard way because it's much more rewarding even if I fail, because at least in the interim, we're helping people.
Yeah, I heard trust from both of you guys. So it seems like you've built a really solid relationship on that. All right, next we have Trisha Hunt. Can you talk about Sprig and Brie a little bit more? Do they use local products? Do they use local produce and products you carry at the exchange?
Yes. So Adeline, who's the owner of Sprig and Brie, actually went to high school with me. And she has started off with her initial menu. And she said, my goal is to have as much of this as possible come from the farm exchange as I continue to layer in here. So I know she's going to be doing a new menu relaunch for seasonal things and has been talking to the farmers with how she's going to do that, which is super exciting. I know she uses 4 acres microgreens on her avocado toast, which is literally life-changing.
Which is what I had, and it is the burrata on it and prosciutto. Yes.
So good.
Wonderful.
So I know that they're all actively working towards that in Coastal Local as well.
Great. Okay. Last question from Amy. Can you tell us what's on the future horizon? We talked about this a little bit. How do you guys partner with the local community? I don't know if there's anything that you haven't touched on. We may have gotten to that a few questions ago.
We did, and I think even just speaking about the future, like Chelsea said, our future when we have a 10-year lease currently, and we kind of had things mapped out on where things would be years on down the road. But really, this grant we received from Farm Bureau really helped us to move that, fast track all of those plans and serve our community in a way that's been so meaningful. I think one of the best compliments we always hear is almost on a daily basis, you see people come in and they've got friends or family that are there from out of town. They're like, I want to show you this place. So the people that live there feel like they take ownership and they're so proud that the farmers have come together to like provide this for the community and they love to show it off. And that's such a nice compliment. We really enjoy seeing people take that pride in what we are offering.
A destination for us, probably coming from 45 minutes away, but that's really home for so many people, and they're proud of it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And Canal Winchester's history is so agriculturally rich. Like, if you look back at it all, which not many people probably know the history of it, but, you know, the canal system that used to go through there, which is why it's called Canal Winchester, was moving grain and moving all sorts of agricultural products up and down the canal that went right through the center of where the Winchester Farm Exchange is. In fact, the brick pathway that's in the middle of the street there is where the canal path was. So they have it specific to that. And I think additionally, what might be coming on the pipeline alongside the nonprofit pushes would be more educational opportunities in this space for workshops, you know, how to start your own mini farm, you know, things that are fun activations in that realm. So a balance of education as well as just enjoyment and realizing, getting to know your farmers in a better way.
Okay, I might put you on the spot, and you don't have to answer because, you know, you might not want to have favorites, but are there any products that are your go-to favorites in the market?
And considering that we both shop there like on the daily.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a staple that maybe your kids like, or?
Oh man, I mean, I what do I buy all
So
of the
many
time?
good ones.
There's a farmer that's in there, Happy Goat, that does gluten-free baked goods that are amazing and life-changing, and so I really enjoy those. And I actually buy a lot of mushrooms from our mushroom folks because I cook with those a lot. Our produce provider, she makes like little stir-fry kits or different things, and so I use those on the daily. That's probably some of my favorites.
Since I'm a mom of young children, I have a few items that are like go-tos for me that are quick grabs. So a lot of times I'll get the barbecue pulled pork from Fresh Ore and throw that in a crock pot. And then I also get the fresh tortillas from Elsie Luann. She makes them and they're so life-changing. I just honestly, and I'll put chorizo from Flourish in Rome for those. And then my kids love Smith Brothers milk. Like, they have the little pints there that they grab all the time in the different flavors. So my youngest loves the cookies and cream.
I saw the flavored milk, and I thought, this looks like a milkshake.
It's cool.
A healthy, maybe a healthier version of a milkshake.
yeah.
And I saw when we were eating lunch, the mushroom farmer came and she was changing out the mushrooms. And we were
was,
kind of
yeah.
wondering, what is that process? So do people come in and change out their own product? Do they give it to you guys to do? Or is it a mixed bag of how people participate in that?
So because it's run like a true farmer's market, they're responsible for their product. So they're coming in every week. We tell them, like, come in, do your stock, do your restock. Most of them have keys to the building. Like, that's a lot of trust to give everybody a key to your space and let them come in and do their own thing. But we want them to feel responsible for their space and really feel like this is their business, not that we're in charge or we're doing all of it for them, that they're really, this is a community and we're doing it together. So that's how it's been working, and they love it, and they love having the freedom to kind of take charge of their spaces. And
Well, and I have to say too, just briefly, I love walking into the space and seeing their names up top, right? Above their products, or a picture on the side that tells a story of that family. So it's a great way to share who those farmers are, even though you can't directly see them at the store while you're there shopping.
Yeah, we want to celebrate the work that they do, and we want people to see the faces of the people who are feeding them.
And it's also just really cool to have them come in. Like, for me, you know, particularly with produce, for instance, knowing that the Schultz Valley family is walking in with their kids and they're like, here's the tomatoes. And I'm like, thank you. And she's like, I just picked that this morning. I'm like, that's a really fresh tomato. And the difference, again, being someone who is not coming from an agricultural background and mostly was accessing my food through traditional grocery stores, fine. But the flavor and the taste and the freshness is dramatically different. And my husband, who's always like, whatever about everything, is like, this is delicious every time.
Yeah, it's hard to go back.
We have another question from David. Oh, he says he's a big fan of chorizo as well. So I think amongst us, we can all agree, this group. Yeah, try the chorizo for sure. Eggs and tortillas. You're making us hungry for lunch, David. Looking back, what advice would you give to someone who's hesitating to take the leap that you once took? Another great question. Thank you.
I think you will always regret a leap you don't take. At least I have in my own life, where I've been hesitant to try something because I didn't know how. And I think that, 5 or so plus years of small business ownership prior to starting the Farm Exchange has helped me gain a little bit of confidence, whether that be false or real confidence, which is why when I approached Trish and I was like, this is what we're going to do. Do you want to do it with me? And knowing that oftentimes you can't read enough books. There's nothing's going to teach you like the experience of real life. And so for us, it's like if we do have an obstacle or a hurdle that comes into play, it's more about learning and processing through that versus being like, okay, I'm going to research enough and I'm going to just know how to do this. I don't think that that's how life works. I think that we all just learn the hard way ultimately. And so with this, while I'm grateful there hasn't been as many hard ways, there has still been a lot of strategy in place to hopefully make it. So I would encourage anyone who's hesitating to take the leap to just know that you're never going to be educated enough to feel comfortable to do it. There's never going to be a right time. You're never going to have enough money.
Right.
It's like you just got to take the plunge.
Well, and failures are part of the process, right? So Mike Boyert at times will play I Hope You Dance, that country song, because it is worth taking the chances. It is worth, if you've got the passion, if you have the grit, if you have a great business plan ahead of you, there's no stopping you. So
Chelsea always says we're learning how to build the plane while we're flying it.
Yeah.
So, which is definitely how it has been. And I think, totally agree that you just need to do it because you can't learn enough about what's going to happen. I mean, we thought we knew what was going to happen or what we needed to know. And instantly within the first 4 weeks, we're like, well, we got to change all of those things. And it's on to the next and to the next and to the next. You don't know what you don't know until you're really doing it. And so
I will say that contributes a little bit back to that question about the relationships. Like that is also something I like to honor our, particularly our founding farmers and our original people who are coming into play, because we started off with around 12 to 20, and where they had to be on this plane that we're building while we're flying it, right? So I think there's an element of trust and a leap of risk that they had to take with us, where we're pushing through challenges, operational, systematically, just things that we had to figure out because we wouldn't know until it was open of what could come along. And so we're really grateful to them for trusting us. And, hoping to continue to trust us as time goes on. But I think that we have enough of a relationship with them now that they would mention if, there were things that were challenges.
it was funny in the very beginning, they were like, well, how is this going to run? And we said, which is funny now when I think back to it, we're all going to volunteer. You're all going to volunteer to be there as like the farmers on duty. We're going to have this staff person and all of our families, like we'll just like rotate through. And that lasted like 5 days.
Yeah, which is fair because everyone's too busy.
And it was just, and I told Chelsea in the very beginning, I was like, Chelsea, I'm like, if we have 6 or 7 people in here at the same time, it's going to be this amazing success. It'll be so exciting. And so, you have opening and it's very, very busy, but then it's like as the months go on, it's like on a Saturday, we'll get a call from our market manager and she's like, there's 50 plus people in here at one time. You can barely walk. And it's like that a lot. And so that's been nice, but it also pushed us to suddenly make some changes. We now have a whole staff of people that work there creating jobs. So it's been
Good.
It's been good.
Sounds great. I would highly recommend everyone check out Winchester Farm Exchange. We know that we can find you online and on social media, but again, take the short trip to Canal Winchester, check it out, stock up on all these goodies. I know you found some stuff the other day too. Was there any fan favorites of the family?
So I bought chorizo and it was delicious. It was fantastic.
Chorizo fans here.
Yes. Garlic knot bread from one of the bakers.
B&B.
It was amazing. And then I got a pouch of mac and cheese and the kids devoured it. So that was a hit with them.
That is great. So that's one of our farmers up in West Mansfield. And instead of buying like your processed food box mixes, she makes all of those like quick, easy dinners and she puts it all together from scratch.
Which was fantastic for us, just being in every activity, right, as parents. So they loved it. So just,
Yeah,
a
we've heard
variety
some
of
good
stuff.
go-to meal ideas today. And then if people want to find out more about the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation, where could you direct them to?
So Ohio Farm Bureau, ofbf.org/foundation is where you can find more information about this. We're excited to be in year 2 of the Growing Tomorrow grant. Last year, we awarded up to $50,000, and this year we're going to be awarding up to $100,000. So thanks to many of our partners, including the Nationwide Foundation, Farm Credit Mid-America, and other donors and sponsors, we're now able to look at a bigger award for this year, if
And
possible.
when will those be announced?
Those will be announced at our annual meeting in December. Applications are now open, though, online. So if you know of any new and beginning farmer or entrepreneur in agriculture, please direct them to our website
Yeah, great point.
for that resource.
Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much. What a fun conversation. I've learned a lot, and I can't wait to go back. Genuinely appreciate all your time. Thank you for the incredible impact you guys are making. It's so fun to hear a lot of the words we use here at Nationwide, woven through both the foundation and what you're doing. So thanks for spending time with us. And thank you, Kelly, for making the connection to women in ag today. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I think we're going to sign off now, but don't forget winchesterfarmexchange.com and ofbf.org/foundation. You can find all the information there. So thank you.